Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today, we've decided to stay at home on the sofa and watch something that's available on VOD that we've both been meaning to watch. Heard a lot of good word about the film The Kid Detective with Adam Brody.
And it's one of those movies that had the most awful release time, of which was October 2020, so it's second lockdown, and just kind of
It bombed
got
and
missed.
tanked.
Yeah,
and
it got missed. But
nobody's heard about it, really talking about it, so
Yeah.
we're going to talk about
And
it.
we're
And
keen.
you're going to hear about it. You!
And we've been meaning to watch it, and it's got a just really top line premise that we know about, which is like, you know, the way I did as a kid anyway. I read loads of books where there was like a local kid detective in the town, like
Nancy
say it was
Drew,
Nancy
Hardy
the Hardy
Boys.
all those guys.
The Secret Seven. Did you
Secret
read?
Seven,
You read
Big
them
Time,
as well. The
Five
Enid Blyton,
Outers, all of those. And but
Fatty
it's like-
Bulger. That's not a PC name anymore.
with the fact that, like, what happens when they grow up and if they were an adult and they were still a kid detective? And that's kind of the only premise we know about this movie. And
Which is all you need to know. That's a great premise.
sold.
So Adam Brody plays a grown-up kid detective who's
Yeah.
still solving like the missing cat up the tree
I'm
and
excited.
all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and he's kind of like a bit beaten down by life. I mean, that's a great premise.
Great premise. So we've rented it. We're going to go and watch it, and we will be back in a minute after you've heard the trailer to talk about it.
Yeah, here's the trailer.
I used to be loved. I used to be a kid detective.
We're all really counting on you.
I was so far ahead of the game. But one day I just woke up behind.
This guy in my homeroom claims he practiced with the Mets. I need to find out if he's lying.
He's lying. So what can I help you with?
Somebody murdered my boyfriend.
Seriously?
Pretty seriously. He was stabbed 17 times.
Is it possible he was involved in drugs?
No, he would never do drugs.
Gambling?
No, he would never gamble.
Demon worship?
No, he would never worship a demon.
Here comes the kid detective.
Someone's following us.
This isn't safe. They're trying to see how my head works. Somebody's testing me.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen the movie, The Kid Detective. If this is your first time here, there's no spoilers for this movie yet. So we're going to give you our general thoughts, then we're going to walk on to Spoiler Street, which is just about 10 minutes away. That's where the spoilers happen, naturally. So, Kathy, what did you think of The Kid? You were a big kid detective reader.
I was.
As a kid.
Also an adult detective reader. I love detective genre. Read a lot of Agatha Christie.
Does this hold up? Would you recommend it? It's available for VOD streaming now.
We're not on commission for the movie. I thoroughly recommend this movie. I thought it was really funny. I think Adam Brody's brilliant, and I actually think he's one of those actors that, like, obviously I watched The OC and fancied him back in the day, but I've not seen him much. And then we watched him in
Fleischman is in
Fleischman
Trouble.
is in Trouble, which
and
is
he's good in that.
really good, and that's a brilliant TV show on Disney Plus for anyone who hasn't seen it. So to see him crop up twice now, I'm really thrilled about. And he's I always knew he's a good actor. Didn't know he was this good. He absolutely holds this whole film together. And
He is the glue.
It's funny,
Kid detective
but
glue.
it's funny and kind of sad at the same time, which is always a difficult enough tone to hit. It definitely has a bit of an indie movie feel to it, and it also has a genuinely good mystery at its core, which you have to do. If you've got the word detective in the title of your movie, you have to have a good mystery supporting the whole thing. So I think he as a protagonist is very interesting. I think the mystery is really interesting. And I feel like the whole package was amazing. Dave and I both kept saying, like, God, this is the kind of movie you watch where you're like, oh, as both wanted to be writers at certain points in our lives, God, this is the kind of movie I'd like to write.
Yeah, we both did it.
Yeah, really good
Oh my
script.
God, I would die to have written this. I would just die happy. Like I'd just hit the end. I'd write that, and then I'd just fall over and die.
And
'cause
then
I'd
I
be
would
so
print
happy.
it on your tombstone for you.
Yeah. What, the whole screenplay?
The whole
Or just
screenplay,
the
yeah.
end? Because actually, the end would be a great thing to write on a tombstone.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with you. We had so much fun watching this. I was just grinning. I was just like, I think this is one of my favourite types of movies, which I would describe as dark comedies with actual like character substance.
It's giving me like Little Miss Sunshine vibes.
Yes,
Not the
yeah,
plot,
exactly.
But
But
that
that
exact vibe.
exactly.
Really,
It's
really
like
good indie movie.
good indie movie with a novel premise that has a great, unique sense of humor, but is also like trying to present interesting and compelling characters with that you like, that are relatable and that you haven't seen
and it's
before.
like, you know, there's sadness in it too, as there is in life, and you know, how does it impact you if as a child you were really excellent and excelled, and then as an adult it's like that thing where, you know, you often hear people talking about now who were in boy bands or girl bands when they were younger, and it's like you kind of had this weird peak of fame and infamy and exposure at a certain age, and then how does it fit into being an adult? And I find they
you're
explore
trying to
that very
capitalize
well.
on that for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and it kind of just runs out of gas, and you become
It's like, what if
you
Nancy Drew
fade
was a
into
grown up?
obscurity. Yeah.
But, like, I mean, Nancy Drew is kind of a different story because her dad was also a detective, so she probably took over the family business.
We were also talking a lot watching this about Veronica Mars. It gave us it was like
So
Veronica
good.
Mars, 20 years later.
For anyone who hasn't watched Veronica Mars, it was a TV show in the noughties, I believe. Season 1 of Veronica Mars is a perfect mystery show. Anyone should go off and watch it. Anyway, we both thoroughly recommend this movie, right?
Oh, I think
Absolutely.
it's so good.
Such a good one to rent.
This is the definition of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Like we only heard about this because someone else recommended it, and we are recommending it to you now.
And I never
please,
heard of it at the time
I
in
think
2020.
it's a safe bet. I think
Yeah.
anyone could watch this. You'd be like, now there is some dark subject matter
Yeah,
in here,
absolutely.
but I think it's handled relatively delicately.
Yeah.
It is dealing with some weighty things.
Yeah.
But what it's again so impressive to have the tone of this movie, to have
Mm-hmm.
real like laugh out loud absurdist stuff right next to stuff that would not be out of place in like Gone Baby Gone or a
Yeah.
really hardcore noir
The
thing.
most unbelievable part of this movie, Adam Brody playing a 32-year-old.
Yeah, he's about 10 years too old
Unfathomable.
for this.
Unnecessary.
For this part. Even more.
Why
He
throw
must
that
be-
age out?
He must be mid-40s,
I
right?
don't know what age he is, but he's not
He's gotta be
32.
older than us,
Like,
yeah.
when they say something like that, you're like, wait,
But
this
also-
is really distracting me now.
But what also was distracting is that like it didn't. The character
Didn't need to be 32.
wasn't improved by being 32.
Yeah.
The character's more compelling if the character's 42.
And it was nothing to do with the setting either. It wasn't like, oh, but bits of it had to be set in the noughties or what. Like, there was no reason. But anyway, we're just being nitpicky because we love to be pedantic. Shall we get to Spoiler Street?
Yes, we shall. So spoilers now.
And don't listen to this if you're going to watch the movie.
Oh,
Because this is
please.
an actual mystery and we don't want to spoil
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
you.
you have to. Yeah, you just have to go watch this
Yeah.
movie. It's really good.
It's really delightful.
Right, so spoilers now for The Kid Detective. Okay, can we talk about all the stuff that really made me laugh first, and then let's talk about the mystery maybe
And the sadder stuff.
and the sadder stuff. So I thought the absolute pinnacle was the whole thing, which they set up so well as a gag. This whole thing of him as a kid constantly like sneaking into people's houses for evidence, then
I love
hiding in a
that.
closet.
Yeah.
And the way he describes it as the narrator is so specific. You know, it's just like I would constantly hide in closets and then get caught sneezing, but then they'd kind of let me off with a bit of a smile.
He was
'cause he's
like
a
the
kid
town
detective.
novelty,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's just like, but like the difference between doing that as a kid and as a grown up, and then they escalate the situation
Yeah.
to the point where it's just like absolutely awful.
Yeah.
He's in the little girl's room in the cupboard. It's
Yeah.
just you're watching it like no.
Yeah, like what does this look like? And I love all that stuff. I love how they try to deal with and make it funny and sad. That thing of like he's in a state of kind of arrested development.
Yeah.
The implication is, oh, he's such a loser. He's like with the roommate can't stand him. He's like smoking pot. He's like annoying. He's like hanging around. So we're like, oh, immediately he's kind of like the bum. That's how the movie kind of set him up. But then the movie was way more nuanced than that, because you kind of realize he's really struggling with depression, and he's like it. Even though it was funny, his parents coming along and checking up on him. As a parent, I was like, God, that's a really difficult situation for everyone. And like,
Sorry, when they were tailing him in the car,
the parents tailing him
what a
was so
reveal!
funny.
I was so good.
but it's funny though, because the measure of success at the end is that he doesn't have a flatmate anymore. But that's the bit where I was like, but it's normal if you're in a 37 flatmate. And I just think that's really weird in Americans.
you're-
As a total side note, it's so weird how in America it's like your success is defined by you're successful if you don't have a roommate.
But you're dead right in your description of this character. He is portraying someone who is dealing with serious depression
Yeah.
and is not
Like he forgets to brush his teeth and stuff.
Yes, and he doesn't know what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
And and I thought Adam Brody plays it so
good.
down the middle and
Yeah.
so well because it's so repressed.
Yeah.
And I thought I thought the ending of this movie was so incredibly good.
Yeah.
That he just starts in this moment of like he's got his life together and it's a happy ending relatively, or it's him, you know, being successful and trying to get his life together to some. He just releases in tears.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so beautiful and so
And he
that's
remembers
him finally acknowledging his own sadness
Yeah.
and
And
coming
you
to
see him
terms with
brushing
it.
his teeth at the end of the movie and like getting out of bed and stuff. So I think that stuff was like, and I think kind of the overwhelming weight of this kid and now him, this adult, was that like he's very like his friend Gracie had been kidnapped 20 years ago, and he always thought he should have been the one to find her.
Yeah.
And he's never escaped the guilt.
Oh, but my God, what a brilliant way to firstly, this screenplay is amazing. To firstly give that is the turning point by which this kid's life and this man becomes that man.
Yeah.
Where his life is ruined. It's not just that he's faded into obscurity and is in Arrested Development. He is dealing with guilt his entire life for something that should never have been on his shoulders,
Yeah.
but he took upon himself,
And he's
the
like,
town
everyone
kind
waited
of
me.
expected of him, do you know, to a point.
Well, the
So-
adults are like, we never expected you to solve it, but he's like, but Gracie was waiting for me.
Oh,
he knew that she
it's
was,
actually heartbreaking.
and actually she was waiting for him, or so we think.
And when he finds her, that is,
So sad. Like
it's so bittersweet.
Gracie's plot is so dark that the film sort of touches on it, but doesn't quite go into it. And I guess I can
But
see
it also
a
doesn't, it
counter-criticism.
never shies away from the darkness.
It doesn't shy away
It
from
sh-
it, but
And it doesn't downplay it
it
either.
doesn't downplay it. But the film's very much from his point of view, and I would understand. And I haven't, by the way, read any reviews of this film other than I've seen a few people recommend it. I could see the argument of like Gracie's very sad plot of abuse and kidnapping and everything, and her kid being taken away from her, is kind of there to tell Adam Brody's story, and that is a bit of a criticism. But I think the film bringing her daughter into it actually was a really interesting layer. And I think at one point I was like, why is this teenage girl in the film? And I was thinking, I wonder if she's Gracie's daughter. But then I was like, no, but Gracie's dead. And that's the point where I think if I'd been thinking better about the mystery, I might have figured out that Gracie wasn't dead. But actually at that point it hadn't crossed my mind that she was still alive and that he might rescue her.
Well, there was a point where we were watching where he goes into her house and she's like, "Oh, this is my parents who died in the skiing accident." And
That was-
it's so
yeah, that was funny.
obviously a stock photo.
Yeah.
So you're like, you're like,
she wasn't lying though. She thought they were her
no,
parents.
I know, but I was
Yeah.
like, that's the point where you could probably start to figure out. Now, I didn't figure it out, and I was surprised.
And now this film would have been made in 2019, and the actress who plays the young daughter is
She's in Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets
Yeah,
now,
she's
like,
very good in this
she's
as well.
really good. I thought they were brilliant on screen together, and I was thinking a lesser movie or a movie made even 10 years ago might have had some kind of disgusting like sexual chemistry between him and the girl, but this movie went nowhere near that, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. My favourite scene in the movie is when he like took the drugs because he was trying to investigate
yeah.
and it's like seems to be like a mixture of like speed and cocaine or
when
something.
he beats up the teenager, and
Oh,
he's
no.
like, "You can't do this to me." And it's just like, I'm filled with self-confidence.
Oh, what it was like? It was
What
like
did he say?
testosterone.
He had a great line.
It was like yeah, it was like
It was like coke mixed with some other
steroids.
stuff.
It was like
they
he's
had a
not-
name for
I
it.
really enjoyed that. I love how he's like when he goes to the young guy. Oh, I'm just gonna go and interview all the kids who sit on the stoop to get my to solve the mystery. And the kid was like, "This guy doesn't have a fucking clue." And then he's like, "Your dad's gay," because he'd done the investigation on his dad.
so
Like
funny.
he's so petty, Adam Brody. I enjoyed
Yeah.
his pettiness. I enjoyed how crap his mysteries were. I love when like early on someone came to him. They're like, "A guy in my school said that he trained with the Mets over the summer, but I don't think he did." And Adam Brody just phones up the mum and goes,
Did he do-
"Weird question, but did your son play with the Mets over the summer?" She's like, "No," and he's like, "Great," takes the $50 off the kid.
So funny.
I loved all that stuff. It layered a lot. It's a great movie.
The other bit was so funny. It plays with the convention stuff well and your audience expectations. When the music starts surging and he goes into the biker bar and he's like, you know, and we've seen this scene a million times, and he's like, "I need to speak to Rooker," or whatever, and they pat him down, they set him down, and the music is pumping, and it's like it's starting to ramp up, like dun, 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 dun. And he says, "We need to talk." It just goes, No.
Yeah, why would I
He
talk
just
to
walks
you?
away. And you never see those guys again. I'm
I
like,
also love
that's
the idea
exactly
that
how it would play
he's
in real
always
life.
kind of boasting about how he'd solved this particular mystery when he's a teenager, and when he finds out he didn't really solve it.
Oh, that was a great
But
twist.
then
as
he
well.
finds out but then because he is good at solving mysteries, he's like, wait, but who brought that mystery to my attention?
Yeah.
And he realises it was the headmaster. So I think all the stuff with the headmaster was really well done as well.
But I like that it forced him to examine himself as
Yeah.
well. He was always the victim.
Yeah.
And he just assumed that guy was pissed off because
Yeah.
he solved the mystery. But it's just like he never, he was very self-absorbed.
And I love
as a
when
character.
they show us a montage of he's like, as a kid, whenever he's watching a detective movie, he always guessed who did it really early. But then when you actually watch the montage, we're watching him just guessing it, and the parents
But he
are
gets
like,
it wrong.
But he was getting it right as a kid, and the parents were just like, oh, because he's just spoiling every film for them by constantly guessing. But then he gets it wrong as an adult in his real depression, and you're like, oh God, things are really going badly for him. And we notice a few really fun touches, like he said the town gifted me my office because I was such a good detective because someone had chopped his treehouse down. And then he's still in the office all these years later, and it's just taken the word kid off detective.
Yeah. The alignment on his sign. It's like kid just
and
got
they can't take
taken
the
off.
office back. And then when he was like a kid and he solves a mystery, the guy was like, you've got free ice cream for life. And it was this really sweet scene. And then as an adult, he goes in to get his free ice cream every day, and the guy's like, oh my God, would you go away? I
so
can't believe I'm
funny.
giving you ice cream.
So funny.
Yeah, it's
oh my
so
God.
clever.
I hope you guys have watched this. And we just spent Spoiler Street just recanting the jokes and the plot. But I thought the mystery was really good. I thought this is just a fantastic screenplay. I'm
really
so
good.
impressed by it. And Adam Brody is, as you said, like fantastic.
Yeah,
in it.
brilliant.
So yeah, look, thanks for listening. Let us know. Did you? I'd love to talk to somebody about this.
Did you watch
Email
it?
us. thecinemaile@gmail.com, or we're on Instagram or Letterboxd at the cinema.
And tell us any other movies we should be watching on demand that we may have missed over the last year or so and that you want us to review. Well, there's not very much movies in the cinema.
Okay, bye.
Who is the supplier? Who is the supplier? The Red Shoe Gang. How long have you lived in this town? Can it make you feel like a big man to beat up a kid? Yes! These girls are awesome. Yeah, be careful. They're super addictive.
I'm Laura.
I'm Lauren.
And this is Go Love Yourself. She went, you're 26? I was like, size 26, yeah. And she was like, oh, right, that makes sense.
This is the show where we're learning to love ourselves a little more and taking you along with us.
I grew up never seeing anybody that looked like me, and that made me feel like not part of society, like almost like not a woman, because I just never felt like I fit in.
If you've got a relative that is mean about your body, Laura, what do we say to them?